Okay, so it's that time of year again, a brand new tax year and a great time to decide where you're going to invest your money. There's a huge number of brokers and platforms to choose from here in the UK when it comes to your stocks and shares ISA, but I've done the hard work for you and collected a list who I think are the best. This isn't going to be every company out there, but I'm not going to waste your time talking about companies who, quite honestly, I wouldn't pick with my own money. And when I say best, there is really no best for everything. But instead, there's a best for each type of investor, and hopefully I'll be able to explain that for you in this video. Also, as an added bonus for this video, I've made a handy spreadsheet which explains in detail all of the fees, charges and features of the platforms, and I'll update it as the year goes on. Now, if you want to get hold of that, there's a link in the description below, and if you follow that, pop your email in, I'll get it sent over to you straight away. Now, quick update on the new ISA rules for this new tax year. There's been some huge changes that I think are really good. You can now open as many ISA accounts as you like. So rather than having to pick a single stocks and shares ISA and just pick one for the tax year, you can now open as many as you like. All you need to do is make sure that you do not go over the £20,000 limit. So all this means is that you cannot put in more than £20,000 across all of your different ISA accounts in one tax year. This includes your cash ISA, your lifetime ISA, your innovative finance ISA, and your stocks and shares ISA. So please do just make sure that you follow the rules. It's up to you to make sure that you don't go over the limits, and only you will know how much that you've actually put in. Transfers from old ISAs do not count toward the limit. I'll have to do an updated video covering everything in more detail, I think, in a couple of more days, so look out for that one. A final couple of points before we head into the providers. Firstly, every company I speak about here is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, and you are protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme up to £85,000 per person per provider. You should always make sure that any platform you invest in is regulated by the FCA, and you can go on their website to check this. The UK is heavily regulated when it comes to financial services, and this is a good thing when it comes to protecting you and your money. Please note that with investing, your capital is at risk, and I'm not a financial advisor. And secondly, a disclosure from my side. I've never been paid to make a video. I've never done a sponsored video from any company at all, and that isn't changing today. There are some affiliate links in the description though, and if you do use them, I earn a small commission with no additional cost to you. This does also help support the channel, and you can get some nice bonuses as well. Now, let's get onto the platforms. Everything will be timestamped below too, if you do want to skip around. We'll start with InvestEngine. This is a company that has been around since 2019 and is the newest platform in the lineup today, but it is one that is growing fast. In fact, for 2023, this is the fastest growing platform in the UK in terms of money deposited, growing 154% compared to the year before. On the platform, you can choose from a wide range of investments and account types, but one thing you'll notice quickly is that this platform is all based around investing using ETFs, which are exchange-traded funds. In short, if you've not come across them before, ETFs are a type of investment that allow you to invest in a single fund, and then inside that fund can be all kinds of different things. For example, if you want to invest into the S&P 500, one of the most popular stock market indexes in the world, then you can find an ETF that follows this, and InvestEngine have a huge number of ETFs from some of the biggest providers in the world, like Vanguard, iShares, and Invesco. In total, there are over 610 ETFs on the platform, and they keep adding more all the time. In fact, last year, when I made this video, there were 550, as you can see here from this screenshot from my old video. There's everything from global ETFs that cover most of the stock market to specialized ones that allow you to invest in certain themes like artificial intelligence and even money market funds and commodity ones as well. I should also mention there's a good selection of ESG funds as well, as I know a lot of you out there always ask me about this all the time as you care about where your money gets invested. Now, in terms of management and getting yourself set up, you can download their app, and there's also a website as well, so you can manage your investments however you like. Personally, I think it's really nice and simple to look at. It's clean, simple, and easy to read, even for beginners. Investing is made really easy as well, so once you've chosen your account, which can be a general investing account, a stocks and shares ISA, or even now a self-invested personal pension, all you then do is create a portfolio, select what investments you like. This could be just one ETF, for example, or it could be a whole selection of them. You'll then choose the weights, which is just a fancy term for how much of a percentage you want to invest into each one, create that portfolio, and then you can decide how you want to invest. I quite like this feature too, which shows you what your portfolio will look like in terms of the regions of the world that you're invested in, the sectors, and even the companies inside of the ETFs. I think this is really helpful to understand what you're actually investing in, because investing can get pretty complicated otherwise. Also note that any ETFs you want to invest in can be bought in fractions too, which is really nice. This means that if you have £50 to invest, but an ETF costs £100, you will receive 0.5 shares of that ETF. So for new investors with smaller sums of money, this is really useful. Also, there's a really easy to use regular investing feature. Once you have your portfolio set up, you just need to set up a savings plan. And you can invest every week, every 2 weeks, or every month with as little as £20 if you want to invest every week or 2 weeks, and £50 for monthly investors. Personally, I'm using the platform right now and have been for the past year, and I've been investing every single month using this feature. And once the money gets deposited, it will get automatically invested into your portfolio for you based on the percentages that you actually set up earlier. It really is that simple, and I've got loads of other videos on my channel that you can actually see my own live personal investments. Feel free to go and see those after this video. Now, fees and charges. This is really important for all investors, and it's critical that you understand this no matter what platform you decide on. InvestEngine has some very low or even no fees depending on how you choose to invest. If you want to create a DIY account, there is no account fee for this, or no trading fees or commission when you buy or sell ETFs. The only fees to be aware of are the costs from the ETF providers themselves. Now, there is a managed portfolio you can choose though, and this is charged at 0.25% per year if you want InvestEngine to manage things for you. And there is an account cost if you want to open a pension here as well. This is a 0.15% cost, and it's capped at £200 per year. Overall, this makes InvestEngine one of the lowest cost investing platforms in the UK, and this is why I'll be continuing to invest on this platform with my own money. Final thing to note before we move on, there is currently in this video. Okay, next up, Trading 212. Now, even though this platform sounds like it's made for trading stocks and for those people who like to buy and sell stocks all day long, this couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to long-term investors like most of us here. So yes, they do have an active trading side of the business, which is where you can trade CFDs if that's what you like. But they also offer a general investing account and a stocks and shares ISA completely free of charge. The business has been going for quite a long time now and has customers all over the UK and Europe, and is also one of the fastest growing platforms. In fact, so many people tried to join the platform during the pandemic that they had to stop new customers a couple of years ago from joining while they grew their support teams. In terms of features, Trading 212 is packed to the brim, and there's almost too much to talk about in this video with making it too long. But don't forget, I've got a link to my handy spreadsheet in the description which goes over everything in more detail. Now, you can trade pretty much any stock in the world in this platform, UK shares, US shares, ETFs, you name it, and everything is done commission free, and there's even fractional shares as well, which means that you can invest from as little as £1 and choose whatever investment you like. For example, if you want to buy a share of Tesla, it's currently around $170 at the time of filming this video, and with most investing apps, you would need at least $170 to invest in that stock. With Trading 212, however, you can invest whatever you have, and you will receive a fraction of that stock. The same thing applies to ETFs as well. For example, you want to invest in the S&P 500 using a Vanguard ETF? Well, no problem. You could choose something like VUAG, choose the amount you want to invest, and press order, and you're good to go. Now, you can also set up regular investing here as well using their pies feature. It's nice and simple. You just create a pie, choose your investments, and then set up an automatic investment so that every time money goes in, it gets invested depending on what you have set up. As many regular viewers know, this is one of my preferred ways to invest, as I make sure that I invest every month, which is also known as dollar cost averaging or pound cost averaging. There's also loads of other pies on the platform that you can look at from other people too if you need a bit of inspiration. There's also a big active community of investors that you can jump in and have a conversation with at any time of day. So in terms of fees and charges, I did say at the beginning that this platform is completely free if you want to use an ISA or a general investing account. The only fee that you need to look out for, which will apply to all platforms that trade international shares, is the currency exchange fee. Thankfully, with Trading 212, it's one of the lowest in the whole industry, and it's sat right now at 0.15% on top of the live interbank rates. They don't try and sting you with any other fees, and this is why it's so popular with a lot of UK investors and traders. I think this is also really important to note that when you're starting out investing too, because every penny matters, and you don't want to be spending a big chunk of your investing on fees and charges if you can avoid it. Some other platforms can charge you up to £12 every time you trade, but here there are no costs. Now, another cool feature is extended market hours as well. If you are dabbling in a bit of investing and want to trade even when the market is closed for the day, you can also do this. Now, this is something you need to opt in for, and we're seeing this more and more over in the US, for example, but it is now quite nice to see this back in the UK. Again, there's no fee to get this feature, and it's something you can opt in for, as I said earlier. One more feature to talk about that a lot of us have been using, including myself, is that you do get interest on your cash inside your account. Now, you do have to opt in for this feature, and it's not like a cash ISA, but you can have any cash in your account automatically making you 5.2% a year at its current rate. This is paid daily, and there's no lockup period for your money. I'm actually using this right now in a general account as my emergency fund, as I really like the flexibility that this offers. Do just note though that there are two ways it can get invested for you. through a bank or through a qualified money market fund. You can see where your cash is through the web platform, and you can see that mine is with banks. But if yours is inside a QMMF, technically they can't protect it under the FSCS scheme, as it does count as an investment, but check the FAQ section for more details. But I did just want to make you all fully aware on that one. Now, final thing to note is that this is a platform I currently use for a previous year's ISA, and this is one I'll continue to use this new financial year because I think it's very, very hard to beat, to be honest. Personally, I hold my individual stocks here, as I really like to have that separate from my index funds, but there's no reasons you can't have everything here. Now, in terms of offers, there's two great ones right now if you use my link in the description. Firstly, you'll get a free share worth up to £100 for making a new account. And also, if you transfer an old ISA, you can get 1% worth of the value in cashback up to the total value of £200 if you were to transfer the full £20,000 amount. There are always terms and conditions, so please do check them out, but this is a great time to be an investor right now if you're a bit savvy. Oh, and also coming very soon is the Trading 212 card. I've signed up for mine, but I'll make a separate video on that one to let you know if it's worth it or not. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, this video wouldn't be complete unless we spoke about the old giant in the room, Vanguard. Now, this company's been around for decades, founded by the late John Bogle over in the US, and it was the creator of the index fund that allowed investors like you or me to invest passively into the whole stock market. Vanguard is well known for low fees, passive investments, and a high level of trust and service, and the UK side of it is no different. Now, everything is managed from the website, and there are loads of account types, including the stocks and shares ISA, pensions, general account, and even a junior ISA as well. Unfortunately, there's no app here yet, even though it's been rumoured for a long time. But to be honest, it's not a deal breaker for me, and if anything, it stops you from looking at your investments about 10 times a day anyway. Now, being that this is Vanguard's own platform, you won't be surprised to know that they only have Vanguard branded investments to choose on their website. You have a full choice of 86 different funds, which are a mix of both mutual funds and ETFs, and you have more options than you did just a year ago. For example, you now have two different versions of their S&P 500 ETF, which is really popular. Before, you only had access to the one, which was known as VUSA, but now you have access to the one known as VUAG. The big difference is that VUAG automatically reinvests the dividends. And this is really important because Vanguard doesn't have any feature to reinvest automatically for you. So when you do get paid any dividends, you have to invest that manually, and you don't get an email either. So please do check your account regularly if you are invested in any fund that pays a dividend. In terms of other investments, you pretty much have every fund that covers every part of the world. You can have funds that focus on dividends, you can have bond funds, and even the ones that are all done for you, which include like the life strategy range or even the target retirement range as well. There are minimum amounts you need to get started investing, and this depends if you're putting in a lump sum or setting up a direct debit, but they are relatively low. Just make sure you do check on these. Have a look here. In terms of fees and charges, Vanguard's are really nice and simple to work out. You have a platform fee of 0.15% per year, which is charged on the total value of everything inside your account. And this is capped at £375, which means that once you get to £250,000 and above, there's no more fees to pay. On top of the platform fee will be the fees charged by the mutual funds or the ETFs themselves. But remember that these are built into the funds, so you don't ever kind of see these leaving your account. Many people don't understand this, so just be aware, and you can find the fees for the funds listed clearly here when you're looking at what investments to buy. Fees range from some of the cheapest ETFs from just 0.07% up to pricier ones depending on what you're invested in. So just have a check look here. As a quick tip, I currently have a Vanguard account and have done for a few years. I just pay my fees via direct debit and it gets charged every 3 months. Make sure you set up some kind of payment, otherwise they might sell your investments to cover your fees. Always worth being aware of. Vanguard do offer a managed account too if you aren't too sure about investing yourself, and this is an additional charge, as you can imagine. In total, the cost of this service is 0.6%, and you can find more information here on this page on their website. Now, final thing to say here is there aren't any fancy bonuses or free share offers here. You just get a reliable, solid name that comes from Vanguard. Great service, simple to use platform, but they are lagging behind some of the newer platforms in terms of features. And I'd love to see them trying to compete a bit more and making things simple. I currently have an ISA here and most of my pension, but I may be tempted to make a transfer to other platforms if they kind of don't keep up with the rest of the competition, but watch this space. Right, next up, Hargreaves Lansdown. This is the biggest beast in the investing world here in the UK. They have over 1.8 million clients and manage an enormous £142 billion worth of assets. They've been around for a very long time and are also a publicly listed company in their own right. So you can buy shares of Hargreaves Lansdown using Hargreaves Lansdown. What a time to be alive. They offer all account types and investments, everything from funds, shares, ETFs across pensions, ISAs, and general trading accounts. I can't think of anything that they don't offer. It's pretty much a comprehensive list of everything you can imagine. In terms of management, there is the website and the app as well, although I will say that it can look a little complicated for newer investors, and I'd recommend using the website to make the most of your account, as not all of the features are available through the app. Now, things can get very complicated very fast, so let me just focus on a very few key things here with Hargreaves Lansdown. It's well known to be quite an expensive platform, and if you don't focus on the fees, you can end up paying quite a bit of money when compared to the competition. I should know this because I had an account here for many years and it was one of my first platforms that I actually used. However, I will say that if you are clever here with your investing and you know what you're doing, you can actually make it more cost effective. So, for example, let's say that you want to just invest regularly every month into stocks and shares ISA using a simple global index fund. Now, you have two options really. You can use a mutual fund or you can buy an ETF. But do be aware that they are treated differently when it comes to fees. So have a look here on their fees page. If you buy mutual funds, they are charged at 0.45% to manage, and this is on top of whatever fees are built into the mutual fund itself. Now, this applies to the first £250,000 of your account, but then it does get tiered down as you have more money. However, just one thing to note here, I've seen people misread this page and claim that it's free to invest with £2 million on Hargreaves Lansdown, and I'm afraid that that's just completely wrong. The fees are like your income taxes. It's tiered, meaning that you will pay 0.45% on the first part of your £250,000, and then it gets lower as you have more put in. But it doesn't suddenly stop once you have £2 million. It just no longer goes up. I hope that hopefully makes sense. Anyway, back to the point. If you used a fund, you would be charged 0.45% and there would be no transaction fee each month. Now, if you used an ETF, which was also a global index fund, these are charged differently, as you can see here. The costs are £3.75 per month at a maximum, or 0.45% for anything under £10,000. Now, with ETFs and shares, typically you're going to be a pricey transaction cost of £11.95 per deal. However, if you use a direct debit and invest every single month, you can avoid this fee altogether. So technically, you can invest in HL using an ETF or another kind of share for free and pay much lower fees than if you used a fund. Anyway, I hope that helps someone out there, maybe worth a separate video. Back to the rest of the platform. Clearly, they have a big customer base with a lot of money, and typically the average investor here isn't your first-time beginner, but has been here for a very long time. If you value service, a trusted brand, and have a very large portfolio, I can see why people would choose a platform like this. As with all things, if you want that service and the complexity that comes with it, you do have to pay for it. But I think new investors who want to start small and fairly low cost can probably do a lot better on some of the newer platforms. Saying that, do be aware that HL offer a free junior stocks and shares ISA, which I covered in a previous video, and this is the cheapest account in the UK of that type. Make sure to use my link in the description below if you are going to open one of those or any kind of account on their platform. There are also some bonuses for moving your investments here, but do check the website for some more details. Okay, here's a name that took the UK by storm when it first came out, Freetrade. As the name suggests, when it first came out, it was a platform that allowed investors to invest for almost nothing. You could buy US and UK stocks for no commission and only have to worry about those fees that you can't actually avoid, like stamp duty, which are charged on UK shares, regardless of who you use anyway. The app is really user-friendly, it's geared toward newer investors, and I did also enjoy using the app when I had a small general account with some dividend stocks in it a couple of years ago now. In terms of accounts, you have a general account, a stocks and shares ISA, as well as a personal pension. So you can have almost everything in one place. But do be aware that it will now depend on what level of account you have. In terms of investments, you have access to pretty much anything that you could want, but there's no mutual funds. You have UK shares, US shares, and EU shares, which gives most people more than they could ever need, and that includes ETFs as well. The general investing account is free to have, but if you do want a stocks and shares ISA or a pension, these are charged and they're based on a subscription plan. Now, there are 3 tiers, as you can see here: free, standard, and plus. Standard includes the ISA, and plus includes the ISA as well as the pension. Be aware that the fees are charged annually, so I think this only really makes sense if you're going to be using a lot of money on this platform and you already know that you're going to definitely stay with them for the long run. For smaller investors, it might not make sense, but let's just see the rest of the platform first. Now, in terms of management, like I said, there is the app and there is a web platform in beta, but you can only get access to this if you are a Plus subscriber. But to be fair, the app is nice and it's easy to use anyway. So staying on those fees and charges, do be aware that if you are going to buy US shares or EU shares, you do have quite a pricey exchange fee to pay, which does also change depending on what level of account you're on. You might pay up to 0.99% or as low as 0.39%, as you can see here. But remember that this is still way more expensive than the likes of Trading 212, who I spoke about earlier in the video. Also, it's a similar story with interest on cash. Again, it will depend on what level of account you are using. They're clearly trying to push people onto the higher plus tier if you want all of the features. Like I said before, it could be a good option if you have a larger size investing portfolio, but otherwise, I'm not too sure. In terms of bonuses and rewards, they do offer some free shares and some free bonuses for transferring at the moment, but check on their website for the latest offers. I'm not affiliated with Freetrade in any way at all, but I will still leave the links below anyway, so they are still all in one place. And I have my spreadsheet, which covers everything in more detail, which you can access by putting in your email address on my website. Again, all linked below. Right, final provider here, last but not least. Now, I've put AJ Bell here because I think it gives you another option if you are one of those people with a large portfolio. You really want a traditional investing platform that's been around for a really long time and you value that level of customer service. AJ Bell has been around for a long time, offers a fully featured platform with every account type that you can imagine, everything from general accounts, ISAs, pensions, and even a lifetime ISA as well. In terms of features and investments, you have access to pretty much everything from mutual funds, ETFs, and shares from all over the world. Just like some of the other ones on my list, I don't think you're going to struggle to find investments if you want to make the most complicated portfolio with everything inside of it and make it as crazy as you want. In terms of management, you do get access to an app and the website. I can't give you any details in depth, unfortunately, about how it works. I've not actually used them personally as a platform, but I did use their other side platform called Doddle a while ago just to test things out. And I did want to mention this in case you wanted to invest with AJ Bell, but have some lower fee costs in return for a few less features. I did a review a while back now on my channel. Feel free to go back and watch that one. Be quite old and cringeworthy, but essentially it's a simplified version of AJ Bell and it's just app-based and lets you invest at a lower cost. Anyway, back to the main platform. If you look at the fees and charges for the ISA, I think you'll notice one thing. It pretty much looks like Hargreaves Lansdown charges, but cheaper. Without being too disrespectful, it looks like they've lifted their fees and just plonked them on their own website and then just made them a bit cheaper. Not a bad thing, I guess, but they do look very similar. So for example, funds are charged at 0.25% as an account fee rather than the 0.45% fee that we'd seen previously from HL. And then similarly, if you looked at the trading fees, they're now £5 compared to £11.95. Also, do note that funds have a transaction fee of £1.50 compared to the zero cost that we find on HL. And finally, I'm not aware of any way to make regular investing free like HL using a direct debit. It looks to cost £1.50 a trade if you want to be a regular investor, if you do go through the charges section here. Also, just finally on the FX fees, you will be looking to pay anything from 0.25% to 0.75% on lower amounts, and even have to pay this if you receive dividends in dollars. So do be aware of all of these details. So is there anything else worth noting here without repeating myself too much in this video? Well, it's definitely worth a look if you insist on investing on a fully featured platform, but don't rule out their Doddle app if you are keeping things simple, as this has lower fee structure, but limited investment choices. Have a look on their website for any more details. I'm not aware of any new customer offers either for you, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I will still leave all of their details below and include them on my spreadsheet links, which will have all of the major details, which I will try and keep updated. Right, so final thoughts and a quick summary. Like I said at the start, you can now open as many stocks and shares ISA accounts as you like, which makes this year such a great year to get started. You don't have to commit to one provider, find out that you don't like them, and then wait a year. You can open as many as you like, but please do just make sure that you keep within the £20,000 limit of money that you can put in across all of your different ISA accounts. I can't stress that part enough, and it is your responsibility to do it. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I claim to be one, so make sure just to do whatever's right for you. In terms of what I'll be doing, my current investments sit across Trading 212, InvestEngine, and Vanguard, and I'll be continuing to do this, and I'll also give a bit more of an in-depth video about how I'm structuring my investments moving forward in 2024 and beyond. I think for newer investors and those who want to get started with low fees inside a stocks and shares ISA, won't go wrong with any of those. And they would be my kind of preferred platforms where I invest my money moving forward. I'll update things if they change, and I'll keep my spreadsheet updated as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if I've missed anything, and I'll see you in the next video. But as always, happy investing.